Good morning everyone. Is it just me, or have the last few months absolutely flown by? Like, I can't believe this, but what you're watching now is the last garden update of spring 2020. It's only a matter of days now before summer arrives here in New South Wales, Australia, and the garden is going nuts. I've got zucchinis, cucumbers and tomatoes that are very close to harvesting. I will show you all of them now. Plus, I've done a lot of work in the raised garden bed area this week. There's plenty of changes in there to show you as well. So let's get into it now. I'm starting off today over here in the raised garden bed area. I did a lot of work in here during the week, which I am looking forward to sharing with you. I've cleared out quite a few beds, amended the soil and put in some lovely plants for summer. So let's head in here. In the two beds at the entryway, I have put some of these climbing beans. The next two beds are completely planted up now, so I put two of my favourite tomatoes in there. They're the Thai pink egg tomatoes. You can see I'm a bit messy, I haven't tidied up the containers. What I also have in here are a few basil plants. I'm growing a few different varieties of basil this year. This is your standard sweet basil. I have some other really unusual ones that I'm excited to share with you soon. And then along the side here I've put in these petunias. Petunias are really great summer annual. They can handle the heat and they come in a range of colours. I am actually quite fond of the striped petunias like this one here. I had sitting in a pot for weeks and weeks. I finally put it into this garden bed here. And then this plant is a African marigold. It has lovely big yellow flowers. I tried to control myself not putting too many plants into this area. I tried to space them out well. We'll see how they go. Directly across from those two beds, I did pull out a few plants and tidied up the rainbow chard which I have in here. I'm still going to leave them in here a bit longer, but what I have done is I've put some fresh soil in here, compost and manures. I also this week built this trellis. Oh, I haven't finished it off. I need to tie this section. Just made out of wooden branches from my pruning during summer, and I'm thinking in here I'm going to put some melons, like my tiger melons and maybe a Kajari melon too, because they are quite small. They're individual portions. I think I'll be able to get them to climb up here and they're not too heavy. I'll just tie them up correctly and I think this frame will be able to support the weight of them. I also cleared out this bed. This is where I had all the beetroot and the Johnny Jump violas, so they are all gone now, and in here I've put in some more of those petunias. So I think I bought like a 6-pack. These ones are meant to spread up to I think about 1 meter. I grew something similar last year in this area and I really liked how they spilt over the edge of the garden bed. And then also in here I have some new varieties of Celosia which I've never tried before. I'll put the name up on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that some of them have lovely yellow flowers and others have like a rose pink flower. I had shown you the tomato plants that I had in there. There's 4 plants in there. I'm actually planning on putting some more tomato plants in this area. And over here, this is my chili bed. So these were already in this bed for quite some time. But what I did was I just cleared it out. There was some other plants like the rainbow chard that was kind of spilling over here, blocking them out of this, blocking the sun out of them. So yeah, I've just cleared them up now. Yes, and again I've just put some more mulch on it. This is sugarcane mulch and I think they're right to go. There's the climbing frame I made from a different angle. So over beside those beds I have this large one which I planted up. Have I already shown you this? Sorry if I have, I may have already. I get lose track of time when I'm out in the garden. So these are my pickling cucumbers. I haven't really spaced them very well. I put 3 plants in here, but I think, you know, I'll let maybe that one just kind of spill over the edge, and I'm going to fix up this climbing frame for the other 2. And then along the front here I have some zinnias, a gomphria, more zinnias, and this is where I put 1 lot of corn. This is actually blue, mini blue corn. So I've got some there. This one here is a really unusual plant. I'll put the name up on the screen because I can't think of it off the top of my head again. And here I have, as I mentioned before, I'm trying a few different types of basil. This one is holy basil. These fennel plants really stop me in my tracks. Every time I pass them by, I just have to admire them for a few seconds. I'm going to grow even more of this next year. I'm completely in love with it. It's absolutely stunning. Let's head out now to the front garden because I don't think it's going to be too long now until there are a lot of tomatoes to harvest out there. Here they are, my wall of tomato plants. There's 6 different varieties in here and I'm excited to show you what's going on in this fruit protector bag. If I just take the cover off, you will see that some of them, these ones are black cherry, are starting to blush. I had previously said that I wasn't going to use the fruit protector bags on these plants because they're the smaller varieties growing here and the fruit flies seem to leave them alone. However, because these are the first of the season, I know there's going to be a bit of competition for these with the birds in the garden. So just for the first few that are developing, I am covering them up with the bag so that our family, or my family, gets to enjoy these rather than our little feathered friends. However, once all of these tomato plants really start to take off and produce quite a lot, I'll have an abundance of tomatoes. So with the smaller varieties like the currants and the cherry that I just showed you there, I'm more than happy to share them with the wildlife that's about. I haven't tied up this tomato plant yet because there's something kind of cool happening along the stem that I wanted to show you. So this one here is called Sun Gold, one of the varieties that I'm most excited about growing because of all the amazing reviews it receives. I'm looking forward to, you know, giving it a try myself and forming my own opinion, but I think it's going to be pretty positive. Okay, so you can see these stems here are running along the ground. So with tomato plants, it has the ability to form roots along its stem, and that is exactly what's after happening with this one here. If I lift it up, you will notice on the bottom section, see all those little knobs? They are new roots forming. That little white thing there, that's a more advanced root. So it's quite amazing how tomato plants work. If left by themselves, they will actually just grow along the ground and form roots wherever the stem is touching, which is quite incredible. But the reason why we don't really do this is because if we allow the plants to just like grow along the ground, it is more susceptible to disease. I have had to remove some foliage from the other plants I tied up, which weren't looking too healthy. And once disease hits a tomato plant, it can spread quite fast. So with this one, as soon as I'm finished the video today, hopefully everything going well, I am going to tie this one up. Over beside that wall of my most advanced tomatoes, I have a few new flowers blooming in this little area, including those pretty cosmos, which actually self-seeded from last year. Cosmos are one of the easiest summer annuals to grow from seed, and they're pretty hardy. You can see here these ones are a lovely pale pink colour, and I have shown you before that I'm trying out a few new varieties of cosmos this year. They are really drought tolerant, which is a plus for where I live, where the summers can get quite warm here in New South Wales and we don't get much rain at all. Plus, oh, do you know, I just love their feathery foliage. Adds a bit of interest in the garden, and they don't seem to have any issue with garden pests, which is a win-win. Beside this little patch of cosmos, there is this Amaranth, Love Lies Bleeding. This tassel here is getting quite large, but it's nothing compared to how long they will reach in summertime. I always grow these each year. This is one that I didn't even sow, it just volunteered in this space, and I'm going to leave it as is. The foxgloves here are still going, but they're almost coming to an end. The first yellow gaillardia has opened up, and one of my favourite flowers, these are called campanulas. Their flowers remind me of fairies. I think they're just so whimsical, like little fairy cups. Let's go to the backyard again. Down here in the fan garden, I mulched all of the beds in preparation for the hot weather which we are due to receive this weekend. Just in case you're new to the channel, this area has 4 long rows which are no-dig garden beds, and then I have this section here which will have a lot of flowering plants, and along the border here is some wild rocket. The foxgloves in here are starting to come to an end, but I'm in no rush to pull out these plants. They're still looking pretty. Plus the fact that I want them to develop seeds that I will be able to collect and sow again in autumn time for a spring show next year. In the first long bed, I have quite a large gap that I will be planting up later on next week. And that's where I had all of the beetroot. They are all gone now, but what is left in here are these chicory plants and a dahlia. Then at the very back I have, where you see those stakes, I have a few different varieties of tomato plants. They are doing fantastic. I only actually had to replace one that got dug out by the chickens, which is this one here, which is the Tigerella. So you may notice it's quite small compared to the other plants. But I'm just so happy with how they are growing. And some of them now are getting to the stage that I will need to give them a bit of a prune and start tying them up onto the stakes. So there's how many? 6 in here, and in the garden bed beside it you can see some of these plants are even bigger. There's another 6 here too. If any of you are interested in what varieties I have in these 2 beds, I'll pop down the names in the description. Also in this first bed I have a few of these asters which are called California Giant, and beside them I have an amaranth called Velvet Curtain. I have 3 plants in here. I do have some other seedlings that I think I'll put in here as well, just to fill it out a bit more. This is a new variety to me, and I just love that deep colour on its foliage. I think I'll be able to fit a few more of those amaranths in there. It's looking a bit sparse. I know they'll, I have to visualize them getting larger, but still I think I'll be able to fit a couple of more in this area. And then over in this bed I had just shown you those tomato plants. There's a couple of zinnias. I did have 2 more that got dug out, So I have plenty of replacements I can pop in there. I showed you this last week. That's my cotton plant. And then over here is the pineapple sage, which I had transferred about 1.5 years ago from the raised garden bed area. It didn't do very well last year, but not many plants did really with the drought and, you know, the bushfires, the smoke in the air. But it's looking really healthy now, and I think it's going to grow quite a lot now over the next few months. It's a really good plant to have for an autumn display of flowers, because that's when it looks its best here. And then over in this bed, I had shown you all the, over there too, all of the liliums. They actually didn't open up. I thought I would have some flowers to show you this week. This one's close though. And then I've got the African blue basil here. I remember a few months ago I said I was going to place some of the basil at the front of all of these garden beds, but I decided not to do that because I don't want to give this basil that much space when, you know, I've got a lot of other plants that I'm trying out this year that are new. I'd rather, you know, give them a go. So I've decided for this year I'm only going to have that one plant. And then I've shown you these before. These are the cornflowers, chilies, capsicums and eggplants. I won't go into that because I've already shown you. Yeah, so it's coming along nicely. Oh, there is something I wanted to show you. Yesterday when I was here looking at these eggplants, you never guess what I found. I cannot get over that I have an eggplant this early in the season. I think this may be one of the overwintered plants. It looks like one of the little fingers eggplants. Yeah, and look, there's another one there. So early, it's great. I'm out the front again. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, but there's just so much to show you. And the most exciting thing is happening down here with this zucchini plant. It's the first of the season. This variety is called Costa Romanesque. Beside that plant there, I have the 3 Lebanese cucumbers, and I spotted yesterday on this one here. It's still really tiny, but look, it's the first cucumber. I'm still waiting on some Gold Rush, but over here is the first yellow button squash. In this mound are 3 sugar baby watermelons. Beside that is this spaghetti squash, and over here is a melon called, let me just check the label, there we go, Cicata Sweet. I still have a couple of mounds over here underneath the mulch that will be available to plant up. I'm not quite sure what I'll put in there yet, but it's really nice to know that I have that option. Well everyone, we've come to the end of this week's garden update. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope you all have a safe week, and I'll see you again next Friday.